Hey guys, this is Sumir and I am at Kabini, and this is yet another episode of the Rider's DNA. As you know, the Rider's DNA is about the rider, but not just about the rider. It talks about the other side of the rider, what kind of compels them, what drives them, the thrills, the spills, the adventure, the adrenaline rush, the experiences they have. And today I am with a prolific rider, and she is a hardcore off-roader. She's done some amazing. Welcome to the Rider's DNA.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to meet you. I'm Sameera. I'm very thrilled to be here. I'm a motorcycle enthusiast. So I was born in Haryana. I was raised in Delhi, and I would say I grew as a person who I am in Bangalore. I moved in Bangalore when I was 24 for working in IT. Got a good job. That was my dream job. But I didn't know that I'm gonna bit by a bug which will take the entire whatever I've done in my last 20 years would come to this point where I'll just stand in front of the bike. I never come from that sort of a background where, motorcycling or two-wheeler or 2015. And that was a time when I just, started riding motorcycles. First time was not a very memorable one though.
So you gave up an IT job.
Yeah.
And now you're full time into biking.
Yes. I am full time in biking from 2016.
When you say full time into biking, what exactly do you do?
Biking for women is a very, very niche place. And when I started, so for me, it was like a empty slate. So I didn't know anything from, that why people are so mad about biking or what biking gives them, right? I tried some other kind of modes to go close to nature, like traveling, like
Adventure.
hiking. And more than adventure, I would say just to see that whether I'm really fit for this kind of adventure or the kind of journey I want for myself. But motorcycling apparently was more challenging.
Okay,
Right.
why so?
Because I never rode a two-wheeler in my life, because it's a self-growth, a journey which I give priority to. Because what the surroundings, the parents, the friends, the society, I never actually literally cared about when I wanted to choose a path for myself.
Okay, so you not caring is okay, which is fantastic. And I think that's the reason why I think I want, girls and women like you to speak, because there's too much stigma, social pressure, there's a lot of stuff. But tell me what you experienced when you decided A, to get on a bike, and B, tell people that they're going to make this into your career. Talk to us through that. Give us your raw experiences. Don't sugarcoat anything. Mummy Papa ने क्या बोला ये बताओ.
Mummy Papa ne actually, I'm the youngest one, right? I have two siblings, and both of them were taken a very getting married, like they got married very early in their age, and I got against from the time I saw them getting married, because I thought it's you stuck, you will never explore yourself, and I was very young at that time, and I started making my own choices, paths, and the moment when I said that I'm leaving Delhi and I'm going to Bangalore, my mother was against it.
So the shift to Bangalore was for biking, or the shift to Bangalore was for tech?
The shift was for myself. So I wanted to shift for trying something new. The good part was that I just finished my engineering and I got a chance to say my parents that I wanted to go there for work. She wasn't very happy with this idea because she always wanted to protect her kids. But I just saw that the protection will something is not for me, and I wanted to really give myself chance. So my father sort of stood up for this idea that okay, I'll go to a different city, but for him the idea was that I would work for some time and then he will get some good rishtas for me.
And you get married.
And I got married. But he had this. My parents, both of my mom and dad, had this idea that she will do something else. They had this idea with their parents. They know their children.
Instinctively, they know their kids. How did the bug bite you? How did you get onto the bike for the first time?
It happened because a friend of mine, they were having a bullet group. Like they said, oh, we are going to Rider Mania in 2014.
Goa.
Yeah. So I was like, what Rider Mania? They said, you just come, but will you be able to sit for 600 kilometers? They said, no, we're going on the bike. I'm like, okay, I'll sit. So they didn't tell me that how I had to come as a pillion also.
Right.
So I have seen there were few pillions They came with a cushion.
Okay.
They tied the cushion on the rear seat. They sat on it. And I went straight away with a half-face helmet, no buckle, with some jacket, with some shoes. I sat behind for 620 kilometers and I was gone. And then went to this rider mania thing. I've seen how mad people were about this biking, and I never shared this with many people, honestly. That my first experience was not very impressive.
Got it.
I said, why people are mad about this thing, sit on the bike for so long, do what, right?
So
Purpose.
what changed and when did that change?
That change happened when I got bored sitting as a pillion, singing music, sitting at the back,
Being the entertainer.
being the entertainer. I'm like, okay, let's do something else. And then I just asked a friend of mine one day कि चलो मुझे ना bike सिखा दो यार. Let me just ride. So he said कि ठीक है, I'll give you 15 minutes. और वो 15 minutes में if the bike stops 3 times, the training is over. And a person who never rode a scooty and doesn't know the balancing at all. And I, how did I go with like full dress up with heels and all of it? And my friend looked at me, what? Like, ऐसा lipstick लगा के गाड़ी नहीं सीखते. That was his words. And I'm like, कि ठीक है, those 12 minutes. And in the next 10 days, I picked up a second-hand Pulsar. I trained myself how to, start the bike, how to give first gear and how to ignition, like how to throttle. I practiced for 15 days alone. I went alone to Madikeri for 4 days.
Very nice.
And that was an experience when I didn't know the roads. I was not using Google Maps. I was having one slip with 4 names. And I was not speaking the local language. Neither I was understanding it. But I don't know from where that courage came, that I wanted to break a wall for myself. And that 4 days of Madikeri trip, I didn't know how to ride on highways. I didn't know if the bike punctures were going to happen. I didn't know that actually मेरे को fuel का दोबारा fill कराना है. I didn't know the routes. I stayed in a hotel, which was one of the weirdest hotels I ever stayed. But the experience of me being on road, not just biking, people. I got saved by a police guy. I was saved by a local guy because I was riding in the night in hill.
When you say saved, what do you mean?
I went to one of the hill in Madikeri and it was in the night time. It was around 3 o'clock. It was raining. So when I was coming back, so this police guy was there and he said, "It's madam, niklo aap because it's 5 o'clock and it's going to rain. It's dark." And I was not using Google Map ki bata dega kidhar jana hai. And I didn't know that he was like slowly coming behind, following me, check that whether I reached or not. But till the point where his place came, and once I reached there, he came and he said, "Now you have to go straight."
Okay.
So that was the time when he was looking for me, looking at me, ki haan bhai, I'm all fine or not. And then and it got dark. So when it got dark, I just saw one light coming behind. I got scared, shit scared, and I thought that somebody's following me.
Okay.
So I saw the bike coming close, the light coming close, going back, and he's saying, "Madam, like, sir." Like the way I was sitting, he couldn't figure it out. And then what he said was, "Thank you." So he followed me approximately 10-11 kilometers.
So who was this guy?
So he was a drunk guy.
Oh.
Who didn't know how to go on the road because he was so drunk. So he was following my
tail light. Right.
So he said, "Thank you, sir." And I changed my tone. I was like, "You're welcome, sir." So I never wanted to give him the impression that it was a woman. So, and it was very natural. So mujhe laga ki because, we live in a society where a man voice has always been understandable and captured as strong. Authority. And my instinct said that. And I came back home and it's been like 7 years to that story, but it always comes back to my mind. I reached back home in the 5th day when I came back home from that ride. I called my parents and I said I did it. So there was, no plans, no support, no expectations, no clarity. But it was perfect. Right. And that, when I came back, I got to know that this is something I want to do. So the next part of my life started up there.
Phase 2.
So
what was phase 2?
Phase 2 was when I decided that I'm going to travel and motorcycle going to become my partner. Though I started with the idea of, I'm going to just travel with that bike. But it turned into like my commuter choice first.
Right.
And I understood that how much time I have, of my own. Even when I ride, I can think so much. But I go in a public transport, I always thinking, kya ho raha hai? Is nobody gonna come close to me? I have my freedom of thoughts. I have a freedom of my commute.
Okay, so you definitely come across as somebody who got out of that shell and became an independent woman, courageous, do your own thing, ride out solo, do your stuff. So has that helped you in your interactions with other riders? Has that deterred you? Do people feel intimidated? Do they feel encouraged?
For me, the turning point came when the second phase really hit up right, is when I went my first expedition from Bangalore, Leh Ladakh and Spiti on for 23 days. And that was with, again, no experience.
Did you ride all the way or did you ship
I
your
rode
bike?
all the way.
Solo?
No, that was with a group of bulldogs.
Okay.
Yeah. So they encouraged me to do things, but they never helped me to learn. So there is a difference.
Correct.
You go with a group of 6 people. You will say, I'm going with a group, but you're still alone because there's no one to help you. So the growth is something, if you don't have the khujli,
inclination.
Okay, I'll say these words and you're gonna make the right turn of it, but I'll say khujli to and I have done so many mistakes in those initial period of time, but I would say I was being very lucky.
Let's talk about the mistakes with the objective of helping other people. So what are the mistakes that you made, and what would you tell people that they should avoid?
The mistakes I did was that I just got influenced first before really go and check out about what I really want to do. Now we have so many things available. Even in 2015, the Google was not filled with so many details, so many videos. It was still growing. I felt that, even though that time women were doing, and there were women been doing a lot, but not in that exposure angle. So I felt that Google has given a lot of platform. And my mistake was that I was not using Google. I did everything by myself.
But that's strange. Being a techie and not using Google.
Exactly.
That's a contradiction, right?
Exactly. And I was just, when I joined the work, I felt that I was not meant for it.
So the tattoo is post-bike or pre-bike?
My tattoos are actually my life journey.
Okay.
So this was my first tattoo. So this was in 2016 when I got my first motorcycle, and that was a classic 350. And I just wrote here the rider's diary.
Right.
And then I got this tattoo, which is a feather and a phoenix.
Right.
So burned ashes out.
Correct.
So I was in not a very good space of time. And then, so first was this, and then this happened to me. When this happened, it led me, I cannot show, but I have this entire thing. So this is a yin and yang. Because of this.
From confusion to more definition. That's what it looks like to me.
So this took me to a path where I met my life partner. And when he came into my life is where the actual phase started.
He rides too?
He is a maniac.
Okay.
So that was, I was saying that the part 2 was become interesting, but
finding the right
person who made my decision more stronger.
Right.
That, he's been like riding for 25 years,
nice.
26 years, and he's been he done all of it he's an old school, but at the same time, very, very intense when it comes to things like this. And I would say that decisions were mine, that what I wanted to pursue, but the learning curve was given by him.
So the support structure came from him.
Exactly.
Nice.
And it was a risk for him also.
Why? Why risk?
Because we just met. I finished my late trip, and just a month before the late trip we met, we started dating. I went there, and when I was in mountains, I realized
reflective state of mind.
And then that reflective state of mind.
Don't mean to gauge your age, all right? So it's not a trick question, but how old were you then?
I was 28 and a half.
Okay, I won't ask how old you are now. So it's
no, I'm a happy 35 and a half.
Very nice.
I'll be turning 36 in October.
Very cool.
Yeah. So when it comes to, all become like, when I finished that trip, I understood that, Sameera, you are not going back. You need to figure it out.
Next.
And the best part was that when I thought it, this guy came
into your life.
into my life, and he came in a way that he made me. The first question he asked me, "Why did you purchase a Royal Enfield?"
Okay.
And I said,
He's an Enfield rider?
No.
No. What does he ride?
So when I met him, he was riding a Z900.
Okay.
Z800, sorry. And he was a Enfield guy earlier. I said he's been riding from long time.
So let's give him a shout out. What's his name?
His name is Praveen Ramakrishnan.
All right. So that's to Praveen Ramakrishnan for being so supportive of Sameera.
Yeah.
Caption in bold and flames.
Absolutely. He saying what my thing was that I was brainless at a point because I got too passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
But when he came into life, I got to know through his experiences because he also burnt his hand. He told me ki mat karo, you will not find anything in your passion. Because he burnt his hands already in the past, and he said you need to be consistent, in something. You need to have a base, you need to have नींव तगड़ी होनी चाहिए, तभी आप आगे कुछ पढ़ सकते हो. So I was like, ठीक है ना, तेरा नींव तगड़ा है, मैं आगे बढ़ती हूँ. And he took it seriously. I quit my job, and we were not even fixed. I quit my job with zero savings, and this guy was said, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and though I asked him कि 6 महीने यार, let me try, मैं क्या कर सकती हूँ. Now it turned to 6 years.
Wow, nice.
And the journey is on.
So journey, all right. So I mean, okay, you get that you got bitten by the bug of riding. You started riding. You got your first bike. You gained your independence. You became more confident. All of that stuff, right? So that's one part of the journey, I'd say. That, and you yourself said like phase 2 happened. So what next? What exactly are you after? What are you chasing?
My chase is limitless. I don't know till where I go, or maybe I just drop everything one day. I don't want to feel any kind of
So you're
regret.
enjoying it while it lasts.
Yes. And there is no motive. I enjoying my growth, and sometimes it is for money, sometimes it is for my self-satisfaction, and sometimes it's actually to make a woman be heard.
Got it.
So
I think that's the message I was trying to kind of get at. So
yeah.
So I was talking to, I interviewed a Croatian rider last week. And she made a very interesting point. What she said is that, hey, listen, we love to do this, but tires, gas, oil, all of these things cost money.
Yeah.
So what's the balance?
Yeah. So the journey of me thinking that, I'm going to start something in motorcycling wasn't easy. It was all dreamland, honestly. I thought that I knew how to ride. I thought I can make a profession out of it by training women. That was my first thought.
You do that, right?
I did it. I did it for a good 5 years.
So how does it work? I mean, is it like you're just being an advocate for women riders, or they actually come and say, okay, show me how to ride? How is it working for you?
So when I started, the idea was that I wanted them to get into that space where they start riding. They get friendly with the motorcycle. And when I started this, I was not very good at it. I was not having patience.
Riding or training? Training.
Yes. Riding, I was good from the day one.
You do strike me as a person who's not very patient. Even now. I'm sorry, but
no.
That's the impression you leave me with.
I left that zone way back where, the patience was... now, it's still there. It's still there. But it just comes once in a while. But 5 years of training women, for me, was like a foundation. Parallelly, I was learning so many things to make my experience more stronger. So like I got into track racing. I did 3 years of track racing with TVS. Then I started doing a lot of adventure and enduro touring, where I was doing like 1,000 kilometers in 10 hours, 12 hours of riding. So I was growing my skill at one side, and then I was training them to the very new mindset. Because what I felt at the start is that women wanted, but without the clarity.
Got it.
So for me, my foundation was all together grew with the women I taught. So I have trained almost 200 plus women, and that I would say it was very close to me. One is women, because I never got the training. I got a 12 minutes of training.
Right.
And second is like women comes with a lot of baggage.
All right, so we've talked about a lot of things, and I think one of the things that I think would be very interesting for people to hear is how do you kick up a regular income, a regular paying job where you're assured of an income at the first or X date every month, and chuck that all up to get into a life that has some degree of uncertainty. Because to do something like this, even though I think you're on the way, it takes time to establish.
True.
And I'm sure you go through various phases, self doubt, opportunities. So, can you talk us through that experience?
Not very easy, because you don't know where you actually gonna start and where you're gonna land. So that was the case with me. मुझे regular IT job बंद करना था. I wanted to leave that particular space because I wanted to be more in an open zone. But the first thought came into my head was that if I train women, I can make some money.
Right.
And I planned 15 days of course also when I left my job, and I started contacting people through Facebook, and I got some interesting people joining in, but I felt at the start that it was a wrong decision. So I decided to start doing rides and events, basically. So first 3 months of this time,
So, you would organize rides?
Yes. So I thought that, because as I told you, I was doing different kind of experiencing all the divisions I wanted to into motorcycling to learn more about it, because what I learned was a skill of riding.
Right.
Nothing about the motorcycle, nothing about the industry works around. And that actually took me to the space where I thought that I'll become the known face influencer and all of it. But very quickly I realized that that's not going to work with me, so I have to do some real hard
Why?
job.
Why wouldn't that work for you?
Because I didn't know much about biking.
Got it.
Right? So I wanted to get into
So
core.
you wouldn't be able to speak from a position of authority.
Exactly. So I don't just want it to be one saying it कि देखो मैं ये कर रही हूँ या देखो मैं वो कर रही हूँ या कर रहा हूँ for that matter. So we have a lot of them like that. The training of women or coaching of women was an intake, but it was not the right time. So I started started seeing that what kind of events or and I was a part of a women group also where I was already curating rides for women bikers.
For women bikers.
So, and I used to do very different things. So everybody used to like and at the same time not like to join me.
Why? Okay, so why this stereotype of women groups and women rides? It's my opinion that it's a stereotype, and I'm trying to kind of demystify and say, why is this stereotype? Why is it a woman ride? Why is it a women biking group? Should that distinction actually be there? I
say there is no harm in it. Like we have so many groups, we have so many platforms which can create inspiration, aspiration.
So what about having a level playing field? So my intention is saying that why should I have a women group? Is it that women don't feel that they can compete or they can be on an equal level playing field as men? Are there limitations? That's what I'm trying to get.
I would say on that.
Or is it a stepping stone?
Everything.
All right.
Okay. It's everything. Like I have experienced this of being in a women specific group and doing rides and events and motivation push towards women to come out from their shell, because as I said, they know how to ride. They should know more.
Okay.
So when I joined a group, I felt that this group has the same intent.
Got it.
Where people will grow, they learn. But later I got to know that there is a stereotype inside the group itself.
Right.
The things what you're saying, that why it is it necessary? That point of time I felt yes.
Okay.
It had to be, because I was observing a lot of things and understanding that all the women who join specific groups are coming with a very different background.
Right.
All wants a platform of exposure. Right? It can be riding, it can be bonding. It's a stepping stone to have a specific gender community. But how you are leading it in forward, how you are helping each other to grow. It is about the curiosity. It's about being together and moving one step ahead.
I won't ask about others. I have an opinion which I'll keep to myself. So, what is the statement you're trying to make by doing what you're doing? apart from doing it for yourself, your personal satisfaction, proving to yourself, what is the statement you're trying to make for the benefit of others?
When I joined the women group, I was one of the happiest person because I wanted. See, my first experience in a group of a men was not something very helpful.
Okay.
Right. But when I got one man who led me towards open vision, that was the time I was part of this women group also.
Got it.
So I was getting this really clear, crystal things to do, to this enthusiasm, this push, and I was doing two things together, because I was doing things for the group, being in the group, and I was doing my personal things. Because I have seen women using these bikes in a very, very small town and cities for taking their kids to here and there to commute, to take घर का पूरा घर का घर उठा के लेके जा रहे हैं वो इस पे.
I actually say this to a lot of people. We think we are riders, we are not. Because when you go to the small towns and villages and you see that Flipkart guy in the middle of the bloody desert in Rajasthan delivering something, probably riding 6 hours to deliver a package day in and day out. हम लोग तो शौकिया करते हैं. We do it because it's a passion, it's a change.
Travel,
that guy is doing it every single day, day in and day out.
But that's a job.
But he's a rider.
He is definitely
and his bike will break down. He'll fix bike
it by himself.
He's not wearing protective gear 99.999% of the time. He'll get there, come rain, come shine.
Mm-hmm.
We need our gear. We need all our creature comforts. We want to carry a cup of coffee. We want to carry a chai. We want chilled water. We are spoiled. We are roughing it out in luxury. They're not.
They're not.
we mentioned very briefly about this transition from a regular paying job to a life of uncertainty. Uncertainty not in terms of where you're planning to go, but uncertainty in terms of how long it's going to take you to get there.
Yeah.
So can you touch upon that? What goes through your mind when these things happen? Is there self-doubt? Do you say that, no, I've got to crack it? There are times, I'm going to chuck it up and I can't do this anymore. Talk us through that.
When people look at me and they see that, okay, I'm doing so much, it wasn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
I started with not so planned journey. I have taken so many dips in life where I was on the edge of converting it to a depression and then just sit and cry. That probably at that moment I did cry. I never said this to anyone except my partner that probably I did a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, own it, feel it, and if you think that it's still a mistake, go back where you have come from. You wasted your time. So sometimes it was a self push, sometimes it was someone with me who pushed. Yes, and I just thought कि अभी जो हो रहा है ना उसको keep polishing it. एक बार राइड क्यूरेट किया, उसमें 10 mistakes हुआ. Then I did another time, it becomes 7. Then it became 4. Then once I got confidence, I started exploring the other things.
Right.
I started including other brands. I started working around where people would never take a woman so seriously to lead a group of 100 riders. Oh, a woman is doing.
Right.
To make a passion into a profession which gives you a satisfactory money, you need to sacrifice. So अगर मैं IT job में होती, I would have been earning double of what I'm earning now. I would have been sat in a AC. This is not a makeup. This is my tan, what I got today. And every Saturday, every Sunday, I'm out. Every week, whole week I plan. I put my head to create something to, make sure that this 50 people who come to our event have something to take it back.
So you do this all over Karnataka?
Yes.
All over Karnataka?
Yeah. So
talk to us. You're wearing Hero colors. Talk to us a little bit about Hero. What's this gig you're doing now?
Okay, so as I took, I was working as a freelancer. So 2020 when the COVID hit, and then I was doing I was pretty big. So I was doing something called as plus size modeling also.
Okay.
So I was doing these small gigs and arranging, money for me to put for my racing and, buying new bikes and all of it. So when that was happening, it was going pretty well, settled, sorted, but COVID happened. Everything was outdoor, everything got shut. So that was the time when I realized कि अब क्या करोगे मैडम. Last like 3-4 साल में बहुत चीजें learn कर ली और बहुत travel कर लिया, बहुत close चीजें देख ली. अब क्या करोगे? अब पैसा कहाँ से आएगा? How I'm gonna proceed this journey of me as a passionate motorcyclist and a professional. So that was a time when I did a lot of self work. I cut down on a lot of weight, and in that process came up to an idea which me and my husband did. We did a fastest all India record ride.
Nice. And where, from where to where was that?
So it was all India. We
Okay.
started from Bangalore, we ended in Bangalore.
Okay.
We did it on 2 KTMs. One was Gen 1 and one was BS4.
Okay.
And I was riding BS4, my husband was riding Gen 1 BS3. And we did it on absolute stock bikes and stock tires.
How many kilometers did you all cover?
16,325 kilometers in 24 days.
Wow, nice. Very
So we are the first
nice
couple and we are the 2 motorcyclists who had done this kind of a record together at one time. And I'm the first, apparently, the first girl who did it.
Very nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, what's your dream bike?
My dream bike is with me. I wanted a
Which
Tiger
is?
900
And that's your
rally.
that's your ride.
Yes.
Very nice.
That's my ride and I enjoy this.
Is that a good bike for off-road?
It's a good bike
It's heavy,
for...
right? It's what, 200 plus?
Yes, it's 240.
240. 240.
214.
214. Okay.
Yeah. It's heavy, but it's beautifully built.
Handles well.
Handles beautifully. So need time because it's front heavy. So now they have changed the entire what they were following earlier. This bike is like ripped off. It is 12 to 13 kgs lesser than the previous bike, and it's sleek. It's sleek from the 900 perspective,
Right.
but it does a really good job. Like for me, the transition didn't happen straight away from a 180cc to 900. It was 180 to 300, 350 to 650, and then 900.
Right.
And it's the last, like when I did the endurance rides, is when I started having more interest towards off-roading and adventure riding. So it's a mix of tarmac, long distance endurance tarmacs, and your cut mountains and roads. So 900 is a good motorcycle. It's pretty in that range where you get a good support on a highways. It's very stable on highway. You either go on 100 or you go on 180, and it's very stable on off-road. So the torque is beautiful.
So one of the things about riding, anybody riding, is people either love riders or they hate riders. But everybody can't afford to ignore them, because when a rider is there, they look at, wow. Especially, so they look at 2 things. They look at your gear, they look at your bike. The same happens to you, I'm sure. But what more happens to you being a woman? Is it a feminine thing to do? So the last one was Kanchana, and her parents were, girls don't ride motorcycles.
Yes, I know.
Right? So what are your experiences?
This guy actually refused to give me fuel.
Oh, that's interesting. What does that happen?
So we were on our fastest record, right? In Jharkhand. So which is very famous for mine coaling, this thing.
Dhanbad.
And then we went to a petrol tank. The gentleman was having one of the weirdest expressions I've seen in my life. And he looked at me, and I was waiting, and Praveen waiting behind. And he was not letting me to come forward.
Okay.
And मैं बोला भैया fuel डालो, full tank कर दो. So he was like not listening to me, and he's letting those people who are giving 10 rupees for fill gas. And I'm like, what is this happening? And Praveen was getting mad. Like, what is this? And he told Praveen to come forward and get it gassed up. So he got so upset that he said, now this man only going to fill the fuel. If we have to sit here for 1 hour, we'll sit here for 1 hour. And then he went and he said, Dalo. So usne dala. He was not happy. And he didn't say a single word to me.
Girls don't ride motorcycles. उसकी बेटी को क्या example set कर रहे हो तुम? That's the problem.
So that happened, but these are some weird, I would say unexpected things, funny things. But at the same time, I would say that I've gotten a very good, acceptance what I have seen outside than our, metropolitan cities. And when you go step out to different region, you will find that how important you are as a human being, more than a gender. Some incidents like that are, I never even count them because they are very less. The kind of acceptance I got in the places where, this person just fixed my bike without taking a single penny. He said, just एक photo लेना है ma'am. And after a year, he posted that picture. And he didn't ping me. He pinged Praveen.
Okay.
Sir, ma'am के साथ photo share किया. So that respect.
Right.
It's not that कि उनको कोई mileage मिलेगा. उनको कोई माइलेज नहीं मिलेगा. उनको कौन जानता है? वो कहीं उड़ीसा के एक छोटे से गांव में उनका वेल्डिंग का काम है. Who knows him, right? And
it's a memory for him.
It's a memory for him, and it's the humanity what we feel and experiences while all India fastest on India record ride changed so many things for us. For people it was a record ride. For us it was a journey which we will never experience in life again.
So 2 things you've done right and 2 things that you've done wrong, and what would you change? Or 2 things you could change.
The 2 things I did right is like that I never give up. Okay. I never gave up on the idea of that I want to pursue my passion and I'm going to make something more progressive for me. And another thing is that leading a really good example of that you can have a family, you can have dogs, you can still you can have your people who will understand and grow along with you, because you know that आपका experience जो है वो कभी भी किसी के भी काम आ सकता है.
For the benefit of everyone, so what are your social media handles?
Insta handle is Sameera D. I have handles on all platforms, so you can find me there if you want to know anything.
Absolutely.
Any queries, I'm always there for riders.
It's very nice to meet you, and thank you for sparing the time. Location, of course, is nice. Company nicer. Thank you so much, and it's a wrap.
Good one.